W8VPV. Repeater. W8VPV. Repeater. Net.
To do them. Whiskey for Jamaica is our club call sign.
Good evening, and welcome to the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club's Monday evening transmission of Amateur Radio Newsline. My name is Frank. My call is W8VPV, but for this evening's presentation of Newsline, I'll be using the club call Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. Without further ado, this is Amateur Radio Newsline.
As Newsline was released Friday morning, we learned of the unfortunate passing of Dr. Bob Heil, K9 EID. This is the statement from the Heil ham radio page. Quote, our beloved founder, Dr. Bob Heil, K9 EID, is now a silent key. Bob fought a valiant year-long battle with cancer and passed peacefully surrounded by his family. Bob's lifelong passion for amateur radio was clear to everyone involved in the hobby. Everything Bob did for the betterment and growth of amateur radio, from his instructional handbooks and countless presentations to his support of the ARRL and youth programs, was based on the foundation and spirit of service. Bob was an Elmer to all of us. While Bob's presence will dearly be missed, his impact on the hobby and everyone in it will forever be felt. On behalf of Bob, to all ham radio operators worldwide, 73. Unquote. Be sure to listen to next week's newscast for an expanded remembrance of Bob. For Amateur Radio Newsline, this is Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2418 with a release date of Friday, March 1st, 2024 to follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. An island expedition in India draws attention to vital emergency communications. YLs are getting out in the park for a one-day POTA party and prepare for Fun Cube 1 to go silent, at least for a while. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2418 comes your way right now.
From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's independent on-the-air news and bulletin service. Now, reporting from Union, Kentucky, here's Neil Rapp, W8VPV.
An Islands on the Air expedition in India has raised awareness of the need for better emergency communications in a remote region that is prone to deadly cyclones. Graham Kemp, VK4BB, gives us those details.
The recently completed AU2 RS IOTA expedition received public praise from India's Ministry of Communications for its successful ham radio activation of cyclone-prone Nachiganta Island. The team chose the island, which carries the IOTA designation of AS199, to mark the 60th anniversary of that global amateur radio program. The hams were on the air from the cyclone shelters on the Bay of Bengal coastline during the weekend of the 23rd of February. Operating with 5 HF stations and 1 satellite station, they reached amateurs in Europe, South Africa, the US, Canada, and Japan. Even as operators were uploading their logs upon return from the island, a press release from the Communications Ministry reported an estimated 4,000 contacts logged. The hams were applauded by public officials, including those from the Department of Telecommunications, for their demonstration of radio's importance in areas vulnerable to natural disasters. This is Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
Troubles with the first U.S.-built lunar lander in 50 years have apparently not kept the spacecraft from staying in touch. Jack Parker, W8ISH, explains what happened.
Builders of the private moon lander that made its historic touchdown near a lunar crater on the 22nd of February said the spacecraft is successfully sending and receiving communications despite having tipped over during the final descent near the moon's south pole. Flight engineers have told the company that Odysseus is now resting on its side, propped up on a rock, but that the mission is not imperiled. Intuitive Machines of Houston, Texas has given assurances that 5 of the 6 NASA payloads designed to conduct experiments are on sections of Odysseus that can send and receive communications. The NASA payloads will collect space weather and lunar surface information, as well as conduct demonstrations of communication and navigation. The lander is the first U.S. spacecraft to land on the moon in 5 decades. This is Jack Parker, W8ISH.
Throwing throwing a party that's 24 hours long and inviting as many YLs as possible isn't such a daunting task when the venue for that party can be anywhere as long as it's a registered site for Parks on the Air. Andy Morrison, K9 AWM, tells us about the upcoming festivities.
If you are chasing POTA on March 8th at any time of the day or night, you will likely hear even more YLs than ever calling CQ. The first YL POTA party is taking place that day to mark International Women's Day. Activating parks has been a way of life for the organizer, Shannon, KC1OHT, whose limited antenna options in her city neighborhood in Massachusetts led her to operate portable shortly after getting her license in 2020. For Shannon, POTA became a way to build confidence and build community. Now that community is getting ready to celebrate. Shannon told Newsline she has been waiting since last fall to make a POTA party like this happen. She and the other organizers are hoping that more experienced YL ops will operate and invite someone new to POTA to join them. No one will be left out either. YLs who can't get to a park can still come to the party as a hunter from the home QTH. This is Andy Morrison, K9 AWM.
ARIS, amateur radio on the International Space Station, had a big celebration recently in Florida, and I was fortunate to attend. I filed this report while I was there to give listeners a sense of all the excitement. ARIS celebrated the positive impact of 40 years of amateur radio on human spaceflight at its conference held late last month at the Center for Space Education Astronauts Memorial Foundation near the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. 110 leaders, volunteers, and fans of the program gathered to hear and see memorabilia from the past 4 decades and got a look into how to rocket into the future. Keynote speaker Richard Garriott, XW5KWQ, inspired the group toward a bold future and passed his license exam at the conference to become relicensed. His previous license had lapsed not long ago. ARIS also had a few announcements, including a new partnership with Estes Model Rockets and expansion of the Sparky radio kit availability for school classrooms. Ham TV will return on the next ISS supply mission, SpaceX 30, scheduled for mid-March, and be returned to service soon after. Lou McFadden, W5DID, received a Special Achievement Award for his work in building amateur stations in space since the very first one on SES-9, which carried the first Space Lab mission and the first astronaut representing the European Space Agency 40 years ago. Of course, the crowd was treated to a live contact with astronauts on the ISS as 3 youths presented their questions to the astronauts. From Kennedy Space Center, Florida, this is Neil Rapp, W8VPV. If you're a fan of AO-73, the satellite called FunCube 1, you can expect a period of silence this month. Dave Parks, WB8ODF, tells us why.
Under the best of conditions, sometimes the fun has to end, even if you happen to be FunCube 1, the educational and amateur radio satellite also known as AO-73. The FunCube's busy transponder will be turned off between March 3rd and March 15th to permit the batteries to take a much-needed short rest. The satellite will still provide low-power telemetry, but it will remain in safe mode during this period. Much of its telemetry data is used for educational programming in schools. Since its launch into sun-synchronous orbit in November of 2013, FunCube has gained popularity with hams who make good use of its VHF to UHF transponder. It was created through the joint efforts of AMSAT UK, AMSAT NL, and ISIS BV in the Netherlands. I'm Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
A beloved radio museum near Dublin is QRV again. Here's Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, with the good news.
Amateur radio station EI0MAR is back on the air from Ye Old Hurdy-Gurdy Museum of Vintage Radio near Dublin. 2 powerful storms in early January left its antenna unusable and the museum went silent for about 3 weeks. Tony, EI5EM, who holds the call sign for the museum station, told Newsline in an email that the historic site did not stay idle for long, thanks to Tom May, EI9LA, who donated an X80 vertical antenna that he'd not been using. Tony and Joe, weather is a way of life at the historic tower that houses the museum. The location overlooking Hoth Harbour played a key role in the pioneering days of wireless, where both Lee de Forest and later the Marconi Company carried out numerous experiments. The museum is open at weekends from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. local time. This is Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world and on the East Coast Reflector on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and now Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Members of the National Emergency Network in Cuba are grieving the loss of a devoted team leader. Dora Rodriguez, C08NRR, became a silent key in a hospital in Guantanamo, Cuba, on Monday, the 26th of February. Her death was announced on Facebook by Carlos Alberto Santamaria Gonzalez, CO2JC, the National Emergency Network Coordinator of the Amateur Radio Federation of Cuba. The Facebook post said her death was the result of complications from a chronic illness. Nora had served as Information System Coordinator of the Federation of Radio Amateurs of Cuba in her province. Carlos wrote, quote, "She was always willing to cooperate in communications during emergencies and disasters. Until the last days of her life, she kept track of any event that could affect our archipelago," end quote. Carlos told Newsline in an email that there were a few additional details as the family is being given privacy at this time. Nominations are now open for the 2024 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Memorial Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award. Mark Abramovich, NT3V, chairman of the Young Ham of the Year Award Committee, is here with more.
The late Bill Pasternak, WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline's co-founder, started this award 47 years ago to recognize young people for their achievements in amateur radio. Bill assembled a top-flight group of amateur radio operators to serve as judges. He insisted that this independent panel of people with credentials and accomplishments of their own in the world of amateur radio pick the winner from among the many nominees he received each year. I can tell you from the many conversations I was privileged to have shared with Bill over the years that he was always thrilled to hear the results. He was the first one to see the nominees, but was careful to avoid any personal communication that might influence the judges. Bill asked me to fill a board vacancy and serve as the chairman of the award and judging committee in 2002. It's hard to believe that was 22 years ago. Unfortunately, we lost Bill in 2015. His legacy lives on because the Amateur Radio Newsline staff voted to attach his name to the award. Now, we here at Newsline need your help to identify a ham 18 years or younger living in the continental United States to nominate for this year's award. The nomination form and details are available on our website, arnewsline.org. We only accept online nominations to make it easier to put together a package that includes photos, letters, emails, and anything else that will help us get to know the young person you are endorsing. The deadline for nominations is May 31st. This is Mark Abramovich, NT3V.
If you're an engineering student graduating this coming May, you may be eligible for a job with the U.S. Federal Communications Commission through its Honors Engineers program. Jobs are available for graduates in electrical and electronics engineering. The FCC will receive applications through the 2nd of July. The agency's most recent recruitment efforts took place at job fairs at historically black colleges and universities and Hispanic-serving institutions. If you are an interested student or know someone who might be, visit usajobs.gov to learn more or to apply. The direct link can be found in the text version of this week's newscast script at arnewsline.org. Starlink has announced it is deorbiting 100 of its older satellites in the interest of safety. Travis Lisk, N3ILS, brings us the details.
SpaceX will be deorbiting 100 Starlink satellites launched in 2019 and 2020 to prevent them from becoming hazards in low Earth orbit, the company said recently. While deorbiting satellites is not uncommon for Starlink, these so-called controlled descents are deemed necessary because the company has identified a defect that could cause issues. SpaceX did not specify what the defect was, but said that the 100 satellites risk becoming unavailable for further maneuvering and must be taken out of service. Deorbiting is to occur gradually over a period of months, with the satellites retaining maneuverability throughout the process. Starlink, which is owned by Elon Musk, maintains the largest satellite constellation in orbit. SpaceX said the removal of these older satellites will not have an impact on Starlink's broadband services. This is Travis Lisk, N3ILS.
In the world of DX, be listening for the Grassroots Amateur Radio Club, VO1GRC, operating as VO1TAP from Newfoundland until the 18th of March. The club is marking the anniversary of the naval disaster involving the USS Truxtun and USS Pollux off the coast of Newfoundland on the 18th of February, 1942. See QRZ.com for QSL details. Gerard, F5NVF, Luke, F5RAV, and Abdel, M0NPT, are using the call sign TY5C from Benin from the 2nd to the 29th of March, using CW sideband and FT8 on various bands, including 6 meters. They will also operate via the QO100 satellite. See QRZ.com for QSL details. Be listening for Gildas F6HMQ and Michelle F6GWV, operating as FG/F6HMQ, FG/F6GWV, and TO3Z from Guadeloupe, IOTA number NA102 until the 17th of March. They are also taking part in the ARRL DX sideband contest on the 2nd and 3rd of March. QSL information is on QRZ.com. Special call signs including YR95AR, YR95CC, YR95CH, and YR95IN are among those calls active until the 31st of May. The operators are celebrating the 95th anniversary of the first Amateur Radio Association in Romania's Arid County. This is being organized by the CS Radio Club Admira YO2KBQ. See QRZ.com for QSL details. For our final story this week, we visit a Wisconsin amateur who decided to put his portable antenna up front, way up front, and carry it where he could see it, on his chest. The result surprised him and delighted him, as we learned from Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
For the past year or two, activating POTA has been a walk in the park for Martin, K0BXB. After more than 6 decades of amateur radio from his home shack, he discovered that operating portable could give him an even bigger shack and a chance to channel his good engineering talent into creating an efficient way to deploy his antennas and his gear in the great outdoors. Most recently, he took a step forward, actually a few huge steps forward, and that's what led him to walk in the park. He started operating pedestrian mobile, carrying his gear in a light backpack. He said most of his petty mobile trips have been an hour or two, working stations in the U.S. and Canada. His 5-watt CW signal even grabbed an occasional DX from whatever park he may be at in Wisconsin. Ever the tinkerer, Martin believed he could make a good thing even better. He was troubled by the lack of access to the antenna, which was mounted behind him. So he decided to move it to the front, where he could see it by adding a wearable breast panel. He said that using an operating power of 5 watts, he wasn't necessarily concerned about a radiating antenna being inches from his head. On Friday, February 16th, Martin did his first field test of the new configuration and proclaimed it a success. His first QSO was a park-to-park contact at 20 meters with Drew, N2AKJ, in New York, some 774 miles away. He told Newsline in an email, quote, "That little setup I was testing when I talked with N2AKJ was my best yet," end quote. He said a few more activations have followed since then and called them, quote, "some of the most fun activations to date," end quote. While Petty Mobile is not his preferred activation method, he told Newsline that he intends to quicken his pace. In fact, with his newest configuration, he's certain to be putting his best foot forward. This is Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Don't forget the Amateur Radio Newsline Haiku Challenge. If you're not too busy tuning your antennas or chasing the latest DXpedition, pick up a pencil and share your experience by sending an original haiku to us here at Newsline. Use the entry form on our website, arnewsline.org, and please follow the rules for writing your 3-line haiku. Sorry, but we cannot accept any entries that aren't written in traditional haiku form. With thanks to Amateur Radio Daily, AMSAT, Barbara, KC1KGS, CQ Magazine, David BR, K7DB, Drew DeMarco, N2AKJ, DX World, FCC, 425DX News, Gizmodo, Irish Radio Transmitter Society, Tony EI9LA, QRZ.com, Martin K0BXB, Shannon KC1OHT, ShortwaveRadio.de, Base News, YouTube, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. We remind our listeners that Amateur Radio Newsline is an all-volunteer non-profit organization that incurs expenses for its continued operation. If you wish to support us, please visit our website at arnewsline.org and know that we appreciate you all. We also remind our listeners that if you like our newscast, please leave us a 5-star rating wherever you subscribe to us. For now, with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT, at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Neil Rapp, W8VPV in Union, Kentucky, saying 7-3. And as always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2024. All rights reserved.
As Newsline was released Friday morning, we learned of the unfortunate passing of Dr. Bob Heil, K9EID. This is the statement from the...
All right. And that concludes our Monday evening transmission of Amateur Radio Newsline. This is W8VPV, and our net will start in about 8 minutes.
Oh, and here I thought we were going to get an encore. WA4WGA.
Hi, Ray. Good to hear you in there. Yeah, I hit the stop button and my finger must have stuttered on it because it started right back up again. Yeah, bad. Sorry to hear about Bob Heil. I met him, of course, once or twice at Dayton, and saw him when I think P-Cars had him on a Zoom interview. Very interesting guy, and his world spanned two very separate worlds, but he was able to put it together. All right, I'm going to back out of here. We got a net to start in just a couple of minutes. W8EZT here.
Sir, have a great WA4WGA.
W8VPV. Repeater.
Good evening. Calling all amateur radio operators. Welcome to the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club Monday night VHF UHF net. My name is John and my call is W03X. However, for the purposes of this net, I'll be using the club call Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. This is an open directed net. All amateur radio operators are invited and encouraged to check in. You do not have to be a club member. All traffic will go through net control, and since emergency traffic may break in at any time, please leave a brief pause between transmissions. The purpose of this net is to bring together all amateur radio operators for the exchanging of amateur-related ideas and information, to enhance net operating practices, and to keep members up to date about club happenings. This net meets here every Monday evening at 8:30 p.m. local time, preceded by Amateur Radio Newsline at 8:01. We will start with announcements and then ask for check-ins from any officer or member who has an announcement of general interest to the club. Once that is complete, I'll take check-ins, call signs only, 5 at a time, and confirming each call, 1 at a time. Then I'll correspond with those 5 check-ins and ask for 5 more until we're done. If you're a regular participant, I'll probably recognize you by call sign. If not, please give your call repeated phonetically, followed by your name and your location. When all check-ins have been worked, I will close the net after repeating the announcements and then giving one last call for check-ins. We also operate a band exploration net at 9:30 p.m. after this net. Please join us if you have the equipment. Tonight, everybody has the privileges. The frequency will be on or about 50.270 megahertz, upper sideband on 6 meters. Okay, here are the announcements. Well, first off is the passing of a longtime member, Don Nelsh, K8EIW. Let's see. And let's see. So the next meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club is Wednesday of next week. That's March 13th, and it will be at the Pilgrim United Church of Christ in person. The address is 130 Broad Boulevard, but you get to the door from the parking lot, which is on 2nd Street south of Broad Boulevard. It's also on Zoom, and this will be a business meeting, and we need a quorum, so you can vote online, on Zoom or in person, but we need to have a quorum so that we can start the process of editing our Constitution and bylaws to change the way that the club operates. There'll be a discussion about that at the meeting, and we would this change would really help the club to continue as a viable club. Then the next meeting is on March 27th, and there'll be some sort of presentation. I'm not sure what it is at this time. Wait, let me look at the calendar, see if it's on there yet. The presentation is not on there yet, but that's our usual presentation meeting, and then the next business meeting will be April 10th, and we will have the final vote on that, on the changes that we're proposing. So please try to attend either in person or on Zoom, because we need a quorum for that to happen. There are other announcements, and they are on the website, www.cfarc.org. And so April 13th is our Ham Fest, and there is a volunteer sign-up page on the website. You go to click on Ham Fest, and then there is the sign-up sheet there. We need people for a Friday evening, starting around 6 p.m., to help with the tables and with guiding vendors to their spot. There are things to do, like putting down the tag for the vendor that for the table that they chose, and also there's an advantage to being there that evening. The advantage is that when the vendors are coming in, it's not all the vendors, but some of them set up Friday evening. But when they're coming in and going to their tables, you get to see some of their equipment, and you can make them an offer on it, and get a quick deal maybe. So that's one of the advantages to that. Then Saturday morning, we need somebody to run the mobile check-in station. Now, you don't have to be at the Hamfest to do that, and then we need somebody to give that mobile check-in operator a break for about 30 minutes or so. So we need a volunteer for that too. And then we need volunteers to watch the doors so that nobody's coming in without having a ticket. Let's see. So go on that page and sign up, and you can choose what task you would like to do. Well, actually, you mentioned it. You say what task you'd like to do. So that's what I have about the Hamfest. Okay, I don't have any more in the way of announcements. Is there any officer or member who has an announcement of general interest to the club? This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor.
W8EZT.
W8EZT, go ahead, Frank.
Let me go ahead and submit this and see if anybody else has any announcements. Let me try to submit this. Finding that form is a little difficult. I was going to give you the path here in just a second.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's at the bottom of the Hamfest page. When you click on Hamfest, then you scroll all the way to the bottom, and there's a purple bar, and it says, let me see what it says.
It says, sign up form to help at Hamfest. There's one right above it for a printable flyer. The one below it is the one you click to volunteer, and I just went ahead and did so.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was already signed up last week. And so we would really appreciate help on that. So let's see, anything else, Frank?
I do not. I hope everybody had as good a day out there as they could. It certainly was a good one, and a sign of things to come. So hope to see everybody coming up in about 9-10 days for the club meeting. And extend your thoughts to Russell Orr. He was not able to do Newsline tonight. He's got a minor, he refers to it as a minor medical issue that left him unable to do this. So I stepped in to do it. So thoughts go out to Russell Orr. That's all I've got. We'll hand it back to you, John. Check me in. W8VPV, back to net.
Okay, Frank. Yeah, I figured that because you checked into the AriesNet, but you were pretty far down the list, so by the time Net Control got to you, you weren't available, and then Ray said that he had heard you starting Newsline, so I figured something like that happened. So thanks for checking in, and maybe we'll hear you on 6 meters later. Okay, are there any other officers or members who have special items? Okay, not hearing any. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor with John, W03X at the mic, asking for check-ins.
Alpha Charlie 8, X-Ray Oscar.
AC8XO, go ahead, Vince.
Not much to say. It was a beautiful day out here in Silver Lake. I hope everybody else had a beautiful day. Newsletter will be out next weekend. Other than that, that's all I got, John. AC8XO, back to net.
Okay, thanks, Vince. Thanks for checking in, 73, and have a good evening. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins. I'll ask for 5 more here. So let me acknowledge each call sign one at a time.
K8HMS.
K8HMS, I have you. Steve, another one, please.
K8PU. Ekron in and out.
Okay, let's see. N8NH, I think that was in and out. And then I had Larry, K8PU. Was that N8NH that was in and out? Over.
Roger.
Okay, very good. Thanks for checking in, 73, and have a good evening. Another check-in, please.
KD8YAX.
KD8YAX. I'll put you as in and out. So thanks for checking in. Have a good evening, and hope to hear you on 6 meters. Another check-in, please.
K8WTK.
KA8WTK. Let's see how many that is. Okay, another check-in, please.
KE8KVI.
KE8KVI. Okay, very good. Let's go back up to the top to Steve, K8HMS. Go ahead, Steve, with your comments.
W8VPV in the net, K8HMS on the 440 side. Yeah, good evening, John. Good evening, everybody. I better check. You got a copy on me, okay?
Yeah, you're okay where you're standing right now, or sitting.
Oh, okay, yep. I'm at home, sitting here in the shack, so, anyway, yeah, good evening, everybody. Thanks for, running the net, John, and, oh my gosh, I'm so sad to hear about Don Nelsh, KDIW. I've known Don, you know, probably 70 years or so. He was one of the group back in the 50s. We all got our license together, him and Jim Miller and myself and several other guys, and Don was in my brother's high school class at Falls. So yeah, I feel very bad about that. So it was a good friend of mine. But other than that, not much going on. I worked the sideband DX contest this weekend, and after all these years, radio still amazes me. I worked Russia on 40-meter sideband with a 60-foot long wire, so down in the valley. Anyway, back to you, KHMS.
Yeah, very good, Steve. One of the check-ins to the Aries net this evening said that he had 400-some contacts, 220 countries on that contest. So he was all worn out from that. So very good. Yeah, I didn't participate in that one. I didn't have a chance to do it. So very good there, Steve. So maybe we'll hear you on 6 meters here later. Okay, so next is, let's see, N8NH was in and out. So next is Larry, K8PU. Go ahead, Larry, with your comments.
John, everybody on the net this fine summer evening. It doesn't get any better than this, even in the summertime. Yeah, I sorry to hear about Don. You know, he'd been in the club forever, of course, but rarely attended meetings. The last time I seen him, had to be close to 20 years ago. Him and his wife was walking into the meeting out at Hope Homes and so there, and Linda and I walked in the same time with him. I don't think I've seen him since, well, at least at the meeting since. And, I can't recall. That was close to 20 years ago. But he stayed a member and, of course, give us the 440 machine and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's too bad. And what else was I going to mention? There it goes. Oh, yeah, I heard Bill check in. I'm going to see if he's got the West Talmadge Railroad up and running yet. Okay, back to you, John. Catch you over on 6 meters at 9:30. W8VPV, K8PU.
Yeah, very good, Larry. I would see Don every now and then on the sidewalk. If I was usually on my way home from a walk, I'd see him. He was just down on the next block from where my street intersects with his street. So, okay, very good. We'll listen for you on 6 meters. Okay, let's see. So next was, let's see, Forrest was listening. That's KD8YAX. And so next is Bill, KA8WTK. Go ahead, Bill, with your comments. W8VPV, K8WTK. Good evening, John, and everybody else on the net. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about Don. Don impressed me and got me into Packet back when he just started out with Packet, and there were 3 of us in the area that had TNCs, and it was right at the beginning of the Packet. It was a lot of fun then. Kind of burned me out on Dish at all, but back then it was sure a ball, and by time. And Larry, yeah, no, don't have the buildings out yet. We have around a couple of times, but haven't got it up all the way yet. I'm still expecting winter to show its ugly head somewhere along the line, even though this weather has been outstandingly beautiful. This last couple of days just been wonderful. Anyway, back to net control. W8VPV, K8WTK. Yeah, very good, Bill. I know what you mean about the weather. Back when I was in the Pittsburgh area, it was like this in early March, and then one day, Joe DiNardo, the weather forecaster, said that the next day would be partly cloudy in Allegheny County. Well, it turned out we got 15 inches of snow out of that partly cloudy. So, and that was the middle of March. Yeah, there could still be some more coming, but hopefully not. Okay, good to hear you there, Bill, and maybe we'll hear you on 6 meters. Okay, next is Ron, KE8KVI. Go ahead, Ron, with your comments.
Good evening, John, and everybody out there. Don't have much to comment. It was a beautiful day, and I did manage to get out and enjoy it for a while, but as usual, I was dealing with technical problems for people, so I had to spend time on the computer once again.
Yeah, okay, well, too bad there. Well, hopefully you got a couple minutes anyhow. So thanks for checking in, Ron, 73, and have a good evening. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins. I take 5 at a time, but I acknowledge each call 1 at a time. KE8ULA. KE8ULA. We'll get back with you in a moment. Another check-in, please.
WA8RCN.
WA8RCN. We'll get back with you. Another check-in, please.
Kilo Echo 8, Zulu Papa X-ray.
KE8 Zulu Papa X-ray. I have you. Another check-in, please. I have WB8CXO and one more.
Delta Echo Oscar, KC8 DEO. Benny, I'm going to be in and out.
That KC8 DEO, Delta Echo Oscar. Your radio sends out 2 touch tone tones before it starts sending your audio. So press your push to talk and then talk.
W8VPV. Repeater.
Kilo Charlie 8 Delta Echo Oscar. That's right, KC8 DEO.
Okay, KC8 DEO, I have you in and out. Thanks for checking in, 73. Have a good evening. Another check-in, please.
Kilo Echo 8, Bravo Juliet Kilo, Joe from Stowe, in and out.
KE8 BJK. I think I got that right. I have you in and out. Thanks for checking in, 73, and have a good evening. Another check-in, please.
Kilo Echo 8 Tango Quebec Romeo KE8 TQR Keith in Uniontown.
Good evening, Keith. Let's see you. Okay. We'll get back with you in a moment. Thanks for checking in. Okay, so that takes us up to KE8 ULA. Go ahead, Leo, with your comments.
W8VPV, KE8 ULA. Good evening, everyone. Just enjoying this great weather out in the backyard with the HT again. I guess if this weather keeps up, I'll be able to drive that 8-foot grounding rod into the ground outside the radio shack there. I don't think my current rig is gonna. I don't think grounding is gonna make any difference with my current rig, but future rigs that I'm saving up for, probably gonna need good grounding. I got 2 radios in mind. Not sure which one is the better radio. Looking at the Yaesu 991 Alpha, or of course the ICOM 7300. I don't know enough about either radio though to know which is the better radio. When I studied electronics in high school, they were still teaching us how vacuum tubes operate. So these new radios are above my level technology-wise. KE8 ULA, back to the net.
Well, let's see. The Yaesu 991 Alpha, I think it includes VHF and UHF. It doesn't have the 220 megahertz band, but it has 2 meters and 70 centimeters, whereas the ICOM 7300 is just 160 through 6 meters.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about the 991. It's at all modes, all bands, apparently. I've got 2 Yaesu right now, and they both work really well. So I'm familiar with Yaesu, not so much with the ICOM.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. It's nice that nice to be familiar with a brand. You know, the way they tend to operate. Okay, well, very good. Well, hope you like what you get for the next radio there. So 73, and have a good evening. Okay, so next was WA8RCN. Go ahead with your comments.
On W8VPV, W03X at the mic, W8RCN. Say good evening to you and everybody else that's on the net here tonight. And yeah, like Steve said, great weekend for the contest. Saturday was a better day than Sunday because the solar Flex K went from 3 to 5. But anyway, played around in that during the weekend. Something to do, especially Saturday. Well, weather wasn't the best. Made about 530 contacts in 260 band countries, screwing around for a while on 80 through 10, and that was fun. And weather today, unbelievable. 71 here on my thermometer anyway. Was out in the yard all day working on things and stuff, and I'm off of Still's Corners here in Cuyahoga Falls, and boy, I'll tell you, the guys were flexing their muscles out there today with their cars and their motorcycles all afternoon, just up and down Still's Corner. Sound like Dragway 42 out there, you know. It gets really loud sometimes with some of those cars and bikes out there. But everybody's having a good time, I guess, in that nice weather. And then looking at the long-range forecast, they're saying snow on Saturday, so here we go. All I know is I'm not taking the quad off the plow off the quad runner yet, so. I think general rule of thumb in our family was St. Patrick's Day, you know. Usually get clobbered with the good ones. So Anyway, that's about it from my end. Throw back over to you and see you guys on 6 meters. W8VPV, W8RCN.
Okay, thanks. Very good. Yeah, well, the speed limit is 45 there on Steele's Corners Road, so that's the minimum, of course. So probably, a lot of fun activity going on there today. That big one in Pittsburgh was March 15th, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day. So that was funny. I had to put chains on the back of my 1982 Oldsmobile Delta 88. So it went just fine like that, but it was certainly not what the forecast was. Okay, very good. Yeah, keep that plow on there. Okay, next was KE8ZPX. Go ahead with your comments.
Good evening, everybody on the net. Just been enjoying the day like everybody else. Working on an old Kenwood boat anchor, which has taught me more about electronics than I ever learned in tech school. I'll make it a point to sign up for the volunteer for the Ham Fest. Kind of looking forward to it. KE8ZPX, back to net.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'll be there both Friday evening and Saturday morning, so I'll hope to see you there. Thanks for checking in, 73. Have a good evening and a good week. Let's see, next was Mike, WB8CXO. Go ahead, Mike, with your comments. Okay, Mike. Very good. He has a traffic light on the side of his driveway there by the garage door, and it it cycles green and then yellow and then red and then back to green and yellow and red. That's been here ever since we've been living here, which is it was 20 years in August. So I'd see him every now and then on the sidewalk. We would talk a little bit while I was on my return from a walk. That's usually my return direction on his street there. So thanks for checking in, 73, and thanks for those words about Dawn. Thanks. Okay, let's see. So next, let's see. The next two were in and out, so that takes us to Keith, KE8TQR. Go ahead, Keith, with your comments.
W8VPV, KE8TQR. Good evening, John. Thanks for taking my check-in, and good evening to everyone else here on the net today. I hope everyone was able to get outside, enjoy the sun and the warm temperatures. For a little bit at least, I was out there for a couple hours working on some projects on the tower, rearranging some tracks, and I've done a good job because I'm on the radio and you can hear me. Anyway, hopefully I'm going to do a little bit more of that tomorrow before the rain comes in. I know everyone might be thinking that spring is here, but it's still March, and I know how the weather can change in a heartbeat here in Ohio. And we'll have that white stuff coming down soon, I'm sure. Anyway, that's about all I've got. Hope everyone had a great day, and the rest of the week goes even better. So I'll send this back to you, John. Fine job running the net tonight. Thanks for doing it. And this is KE8TQR saying 73, and God bless.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Thanks for checking in. 73, have a good evening, and I'll probably hear you on some of the other nets here this week. Okay, so that takes us to the bottom of the list. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins. I'll take you one at a time now.
Number 8 Alpha Charlie Papa, N8 ACP Chris Cadillac Hill Akron.
N8 ACP Chris, go ahead with your comments.
Good evening there, John, Mike, all on the net. Keith, worked the ARRL International DX contest casually this weekend, turned in a score that was just shy of about 70,000 points in the limited antennas overlay, low power, and had to reduce power in the middle of the contest to 50 watts because my end-fed half-wave fell out of the tree because I broke the guy line, and the middle of it's about 5 feet off the ground, so we're going to get that back up. Still picked up Kaliningrad and Gibraltar, so those are two new ones. Still working on my truck, Keith, so we'll be getting with Bob here tomorrow. And I could hear Grenada and Thailand and base Arcadas, the Argentinian base in Antarctica on the South Orkneys, but couldn't get any of those. They had pretty good pileups going on. So all in all, not bad. High bands are in good shape, and low bands aren't bad either. Say 73 to all from W8VPV from November 8 Alpha Charlie Papa.
Very good, Chris. Well, yeah, get that antenna back up there. So very good. Thanks for checking in, 73, and have a good evening. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins.
Check W8EZT.
W8EZT, go ahead, Frank.
After listening to Mike's comments about the loss of Don Nelch, I just had to add my 2 cents. He was huge in Packet in the area. You had a network that stretched from Cleveland down into northern Kentucky and over into Pennsylvania, and I had the somewhat somber duty of having to disassemble it with his permission back in about 2016. But he donated all that equipment to the club, and we sold it and made a little bit to keep the club going there. And the 440 repeater that we were using was Don's personal repeater up there. He donated it to us about 10, 12 years ago, and Bruce worked diligently to get that one configured and connected up to ours and programmed the controller to manage two of them. So we have Don to thank for that too. He was one of the big players in the club back in the 80s, 90s, and up through around 2000. I knew him through another club, and he was just as active and just as intense there. He was a real spirit right till the very end. So 73, and as Mike said, we'll see each other on another frequency someday, Don. All right, that's all I got. We'll hand it back to you then. WADCT, one final reminder to anybody listening, we are looking at a major change in the way the club is governed. It's going to require both constitutional and bylaw changes. I believe they'll be published in this month's newsletter. We'll be talking about them pretty much every time we get together, just so that everybody gets a feel of what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, and then we need to vote on them, and we'll need to make quorum there. So we sure would appreciate it if you could make a meeting coming up in about a month. We'll hear more about that. That's all I got for now. John, back to you, WADZT.
Yeah, very good, Frank. Yeah, well, when we first moved out here, I would do packet with my brother, and he lives in Carnegie, Pennsylvania, and worked very well there, through the various links. So with me going through his through Dawn's link there from home here. So okay, thanks for those words there, Frank. And I mentioned in the announcements about the changes to the Constitution and bylaws, so hopefully we'll have a quorum there. Okay, so let's see. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins. I'll take you one at a time.
This is Kilo 8 Bravo India.
A8BI, go ahead, Bill, with your comments.
Good evening, John, and all the club members and others on the channel. I just wanted to give a warm greeting to everybody. Sorry to hear about Dawn. That was kind of a surprise for me. Didn't know that was on the horizon. And hope everyone has a great week coming up. Looks like the weather is going back to more seasonal, but today was a nice little bonus. Anyways, 73 to everybody. W8VPV, K8BI.
Okay, Bill, very good. Thanks for checking in, 73, and have a good evening. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for a check-in.
Kilo Golf 4, Sierra Charlie Kilo.
Go ahead, Mark, with your comments. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor.
Hey, good evening, Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. It's KG4SCK. I just wanted to say something on the net. Put my antennas up in the air, so didn't want to do that for nothing. And see if I can give it a shot on the 6 meter a little bit later. KG4SCK, back to net.
Okay, Mark, very good. Thanks for checking in, and it was good to hear you yesterday evening there on 6 meters. So I hope to hear you on 6 meters this evening. Thanks. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor with John, W03X at the mic, asking for check-ins.
Kilo Echo 8 Mike Uniform Oscar.
KE8MUO, go ahead with your comments.
I just wanted to stop on the net. I just got this radio set up, and wanted to wish everybody a nice week coming up. Today was a nice day. I hope everybody got to enjoy it.
Hey, very good. Thanks for checking in. And do you have 6-meter capability?
I don't believe I do.
Okay, very good. So thanks for checking in, 73, and have a good evening. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor, Papa Victor asking for check-ins.
What is the next frequency?
Forest is, the frequency is on 50.270 megahertz, upper sideband. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor, Papa Victor asking for check-ins. Okay, not hearing any at this time. I'll repeat the announcements. Okay, so the next meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club is Wednesday of next week, 7:30 p.m. at the Pilgrim United Church of Christ. You get into the building by from the parking lot, and the parking lot is on the on 2nd Street, south of Broad Boulevard. And the meeting will also be on Zoom. We would like to have a quorum so that we can do an initial vote on the proposed changes to the bylaws and Constitution regarding the way that the club will be operated. And then the next meeting is March 27th, again at 7:30 at the Pilgrim United Church of Christ and on Zoom, and that will be an activity meeting. Then the next business meeting next month will be on April 10th. And same time, same location, and on Zoom also. Then April 13th, Saturday, is the Ham Fest, and we would like to get some volunteers for that, both for helping on Friday evening with tables and setting vendors' tags, and guiding vendors to their locations. And the advantage to being there then is that if you see something that a vendor has that he's going to put up for sale, you can make him an offer and see how it goes. So to be a volunteer, go to www.cfarc, and then over toward the right up the top there is the word Hamfest. Then you scroll all the way down that page, and there's a purple bar there that has about volunteering for the Hamfest. So fill out the form, and then you can put Friday and Saturday if you want to do both, and maybe give a brief description of what you want to do. So on Saturday morning, we need an operator for the mobile check-in. Now, you don't even have to be at the Hamfest for that. But then we also need somebody for giving whoever's doing the mobile check-in operation a 30-minute break. So put that on the form there if you're able to do that. And that again doesn't have to be at home, but we will, or doesn't have to be at the Hamfest. It can be done from home. And we will have a radio at the Hamfest to operate for that. Okay, that's all that I have in the way of announcements. So this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor with John, W03X, at the mic. Last call for check-ins. Okay, not hearing any, so in preparing to close this net, I would like to thank all of you who took the time to join us and check in tonight. Without your participation, there would be no net. This has been John, and my call is W03X, and it's been my pleasure to host this evening's net. At this time, I will close the net with 20 check-ins, counting myself, and return the repeater to normal and customary amateur radio use. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor closing the net at 9:24 p.m. local time. 7-3.
T above T M S M T V active. W8VPV repeater. W8VPV repeater.
For the purposes of this net, I'll be using the club call Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor. This is an open directed net. All amateur radio operators are invited and encouraged to check in. You do not have to be a club member. All traffic will go through net control, and since emergency traffic may break in at any time, please leave a brief pause between transmissions. The purpose of this net is to bring together all amateur radio operators for the exchanging of amateur-related ideas and information, to enhance net operating practices, and to keep members up to date about club happenings. The band exploration net meets every Monday evening at 9:30 p.m. local time, preceded by the VHF-UHF net at 8:30 and Amateur Radio Newsline at 8:01. The frequency of this band exploration net is different every Monday, and the frequency is on our calendar. Next week, the frequency will be 28.360 upper sideband on 10 meters. When checking in, please give your call repeated phonetically, followed by your name and your location. Also, let me know if you have any comments or traffic for the net, or if you're checking in and out. I will start with announcements and then call for officers or members who have items of special interest for the club. When all have checked in, I will repeat the announcements. After that, I will give one last call for check-ins and then close the net. Here are the announcements. The next regular meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club will be on Wednesday of next week. That's March 13th. And it will be at the Pilgrim United Church of Christ, 130 Broad Boulevard in Cuyahoga Falls. You get to the entrance from the parking lot, and the parking lot is on 2nd Street south of Broad Boulevard. The meeting starts at 7:30, and it is both in person and on Zoom. We have some changes to the Constitution and bylaws that we would like to present, and so we would like to have as many at the meeting in attendance as possible, so please try to attend. And then the activity meeting is on March 27th. Same time, same place and location, and on Zoom also. And then the next business meeting after or in April is on April 10th. And there we will be voting on that on those proposed changes to the Constitution and bylaws. So please attend. It will also be in person and on Zoom. Then April 13th, Saturday, April 13th, is our Ham Fest. We need people to help with the setup on Friday evening, starting around 6 p.m. And you don't have to be lifting tables or anything. You can help with setting out the tags for the vendors so that they can tell where their table is, and also you can help guide them to their table. They start coming in after we set up the tables and chairs, and the advantage of that is that if you see something that you might like to purchase, you can offer them a make them an offer and see what happens. Maybe you can get that special item from them at a good deal. So the way you sign up as a volunteer is you go to the webpage at www.cfarc.org. Click on the word Hamfest, which is in the black bar there, and it's off toward the right there. Then when that page comes up, you scroll all the way to almost to the bottom. It's about 2/3 of the way down, and you'll see two purple bars. One says printable Hamfest flyer. The other one says sign up form to help at the Hamfest. So click on that, and it comes up with the form that you fill out, and you can choose the dates or both. You know, you can help out at both. And so Friday, like I said, we need people to help with the setup. Then on Saturday morning, we need somebody to operate the mobile check-in radio. Now that activity can be done from home or in your car, and we need, you don't have to be at the Hamfest for that, but there will be a radio at the Hamfest for the mobile check-in. And so we need somebody for that, and we also need somebody to help give that, whoever's doing that, like a 30-minute break every now and then. And we also need public address announcer and things like that. So take a look at that and sign up for that Hamfest. We had a recent silent key, and that was Don Nelsh, K-E-A-D-I-W. That was last week. He was a longtime member of the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club and actually provided the equipment for the 440 megahertz band repeater. And he, back in the old days there, he had a lot of good packet radio equipment, which I used to correspond with amateur radio operators in Pennsylvania back in those days. So with that, let's see, I don't think I have any more announcements. So this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor with John W03X at the mic asking for check-ins. I'll take you one at a time.
K8HMS.
K8HMS. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, hi, John. Good evening to people out there in 6-meter land. I'm on my long wire. I have a 6-meter dipole up there. I forgot to switch over, but oh well. This seems to work okay. Anyway, yep, no big changes from the other net, but just want to give you one for the numbers, and thank you for running both nets. And I still feel bad about old Don. I just looked at the obituary stuff that Anthony had put on my email, and it showed the old radio club there from Fall High from back in the late 50s, and I knew most of those guys. Like I say, I kind of grew up with all them and back in our early radio days, so it's a sad situation, but he did a lot. So anyway, that's about it, I guess. Oh, I just wonder too on I'm going to try to help out at the Hamfest, and I'm wondering if they're going to have a club think it's worth. So, anyhow, guess that's about it. Back to you, KHMS.
Okay, very good. I don't know if there'll be a club table, but for sure there will be that table. Take what you want and pay what you think it's worth, or whatever they say. That works out very well. So let's see. Yeah, I have a good copy on you there, Steve. So that wire's working plenty good for this band too here. So 73, and have a good evening. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-in.
Whiskey 8 Echo Zulu Tango.
W8 EZT. Go ahead, Frank.
Good evening, John, everybody out there, and Steve. The club will have a club table up there, so feel free to bring a couple of items and put them out there and put a price on and sell them for free. We'll have some other club items being sold. I'll be handling some tables there. I'll have some of my stuff being sold, and we will have the, I'm not sure what you call it either, find what you want, pay what it's worth table, where we encourage people to put stuff they don't think they want to sell up there, and if you see something you want, put a couple of bucks in the can, whatever you think it's worth, and take it with you. All that goes to fund the club. So a good way to get rid of stuff that's not worth trying to sell, but you really don't want to throw away. Don't have much else. Again, the loss of Don Nelsh is a loss to the ham radio community, and well, he will be missed. He was a good guy, and I didn't know him I didn't interact with him that often. I would see him at council meetings. He and his wife Karen were very active back when Don Robart was mayor. And of course he was in another pistol league that I was in. So I'm going to miss the guy. He was a good guy, and he did live a full life. All right, that's all I got. We'll hand it back to you, John. See who else is out there. W8EZT, back to net.
Okay, Frank, very good. Yeah, well, there you go, Steve. There'll be a club table there you can put some stuff on, or put it on that other table there. See what you want, pay what you think it's worth. Either way there. So, very good. Thanks, Frank. 73, and have a good evening, and I'll see you next week. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-in.
Kilo go.
I hear you there, Mark, but you dropped off. Go ahead if you got it working there, Mark. KG4STK, go ahead. Let's see, I don't hear you right now, Mark. I'm not sure what happened, but you were real strong there for a moment, right at the beginning. Over?
I'm going to give...
This is W8VPV. I heard somebody in there, I think I heard about 3 words, and they just dropped out, as though maybe their amplifier didn't like the FWR or something like that.
Yeah, that was Mark, KG4SCK. He's in Copley, and it's like his SWR was too high and it just kicked off. Okay, Mark. Well, I have you on the list there. If you get the problem figured out there, just come on back. Okay, so this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins.
KA8WTK.
KA8WTK. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, W8VPV. KA8WTK. Not much different since the 2-meter net. Trying out my old Icon 703 tonight. It needs a workout every once in a while. Makes a great pedestrian mobile radio. I don't use it too much here in the shack, but it's still wired in. That's about it. I guess I'll just give it back to you and call it an early night. W8VPV, KA8WTK.
Okay, Bill, very good. Well, have a good evening there, 73, and hope to hear you soon. I'll be running the nets next week also, so I'll probably hear you then. Thanks. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-ins.
Whiskey Alpha 8 Radio, Charlie, November.
WA8RCN. Go ahead, Jim, with your comments.
Yeah, hi, John and the group and everybody there, and just get on this band and give you another bean for the pot, I guess. And some of these guys I can hear and some I can't hear. I only got a 6-meter dipole in the between the pine trees, and it's actually might be 20 feet off the ground. I don't know. At least gets me on the band I can hear until I get the big ones up. Anyway. And just want to tell Steve, K8HMS, he's my hero, working all that stuff down there, down in the hole there. I know where he's at, down in the hole. He is down in the hole. I don't know, you might be, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 feet down in the hole there from my house. Anyway, you can go down the hill there and Still's Corners. But, yeah, you're doing good, buddy, with the wire down there in the hole. So, anyway. Okay, back over to you, John, W8VPV, W8RCN.
Yeah, very good, Jim. Yeah, I think the change in elevation, it's at least 300 feet, maybe a little bit more. I don't think it's quite 400, but I know that it's 300. I used to come through the valley on my way home, and sometimes I'd go on Akron Peninsula Road and then up Steele Corners Road. And sometimes I'd be on Riverview Road. It depends, like how the traffic was. I worked in Independence, and I live here in Cuyahoga Falls. So sometimes I had my geocaching GPS with me, and I would set it for elevation, and it was around like 350 feet in most places there, difference. So thanks for checking in there, Jim. You had a real good signal here, 73, and have a good week. Okay, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-in.
Recheck.
Go ahead, recheck, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, John, K8HMS. I just wanted to mention that Jim, you make me jealous there. I've never been able to have much of any kind of antennas, just all worked with dipoles and stuff, and in my I was impressed by the number of countries you worked in the DX contest this weekend, because you worked more countries than I've worked in my whole career, my whole 65 years. I think I'm up to about 225 now or something. So kudos to you, buddy. It's a good thing that you're doing there. like I say, it's still been fun for all these years. Back to you, KHMS.
Okay, Steve, very good. Thanks for those comments there. Have a good week there, Steve. And yeah, your wire's working okay for this here too. So thanks. Thanks for checking in. Okay, we're gonna clear with KHMS and W8RCN. So this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-in. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so we got WB8CXO. Okay, Mike. So I'll put you as in and out. There's somebody else in there. Go ahead.
Kilo Echo 8 Tango Quebec Romeo KE8CQR Keith in Uniontown.
Oh, okay, Keith. Go ahead with your comments.
Well, good evening again, John, and to everyone else here on the net tonight. Good to hear everybody. Now that I have HF, John, I plan to be on the other net, the 10, the 40, and the 80, on the nights that you have the nets on there. So keep an ear out for me and listen for me, because I know I'll be there on that Monday night. But it's great to have HF capabilities, and hopefully once the tower is completed this summer, this 6 meter will sound a lot better. I know I'm reaching it, but it could sound better, I'm sure, if it was up a little higher, which it will be when the tower's done. Anyway, with that, I won't keep everybody. You all have a great evening, and thanks, John, for taking my check-in. And this is KE8CQR saying 73, and God bless.
Thanks a lot, Keith. Yeah, I heard you perfectly well there. You're well above the noise level here, so that's all that counts. So very good. Thanks for checking in. 73. Have a good week, and I'll probably hear you on the other nets there this week. Okay, let's see. So Mike, WB8CXO, I'm pretty sure was in and out. And so this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-in.
W8.
Let's see, you dropped out there. Give it another try. I heard a W8 and then it dropped out.
It was a very good sounding W8 as far as clear, so he had power and he would have been readable, but yeah, like the earlier signals, maybe the same one just drops out after the first syllable or two, like it's either going into fallback mode or some circuits shutting down. W8EZT.
Yeah, Frank. Well, the other one was Kilo Golf 4, KG4, and this guy was W8. Yeah, it sounded like it did the same thing. Really strong, clear signal, and then it just cut out. Okay, well, this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor asking for check-in. Okay, I don't hear any at this time. I'll repeat the announcements, and then I'll give one last call for check-in. Okay, so we have our next business meeting on Wednesday of next week. That's March 13th. And all the meetings are at the Pilgrim United Church of Christ, 130 Broad Boulevard. You get to the door from the parking lot, which is on the south, which is on 2nd Street, south of Broad Boulevard. The meetings start at 7:30, and you can attend in person or on Zoom. We have some changes to the bylaws and constitution that we want to discuss, so we want to have as many members there as we can. And then 2 weeks later is the activity meeting, and same place, same time, and on Zoom also, and 7:30. Then April 10th is another business meeting, and we will probably be taking votes on those changes, and so we need to have a quorum for that. So again, that's April 10th, and the meeting starts at 7:30 in person and on Zoom. Then Friday, April 12th, we'll be setting up for the Hamfest, and we need volunteers to help with that, and also for the Saturday Hamfest, and so we need people to help set up the tables and chairs, but there's also some very light activity, which would be guiding the vendors to their tables, and also setting out the vendor table markings so that the vendor knows which table is theirs. So the advantage of being there Friday evening, we start setting up the tables at around 6, and then around 7 or so, then the vendors start coming in. Not all the vendors come Friday evening, but some of them do. So the advantage of being there for that is that if you see an item that the vendor has, that you can make them an offer and see if they'll go for it, you know, and then you can get the item that you want. So there you go. That'll be Friday evening is the biggest advantage. Then Saturday morning, we need people at the doors, and we need people to sell the tickets, and we need somebody to run the mobile check-in station. You don't have to be at the Hamfest to do that necessarily, and we need somebody to give the mobile check-in station operator about a 30-minute break or so. And so if you want to do one of those activities, you go to www.cfarc.org, click on the word Hamfest, which is in that black bar, and it's toward the right, and then scroll down about 2/3 of the way down, and you'll see 2 purple bars. One says printable Hamfest flyer, the other one says sign up form to help at the Hamfest. Click on that sign up form and fill it out and put in there the day and the time that you'd like to volunteer, and put in a note there about what you would prefer to do while you're volunteering. Okay, let's see, and we had a long-term member of the club passed away. That was Dawn, K-A-E-I-W. And so you can read about him if you got an email from Anthony. Okay, so let's see. That's all that I have in a way of announcements. So this is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor with John W8VPV at the mic. Last call for check-in. Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor, last call for check-in. Okay, none heard. So in preparing to close this net, I would like to thank all of you who took the time to join us and check in tonight. As mentioned earlier, this band exploration net meets every Monday evening at 9:30 p.m. Next week, the frequency will be 28.360 megahertz upper sideband. That's on 10 meters, of course. Please feel free to check in regularly, even if only for a moment. All comments are welcomed and valuable to us. This has been John, and my call is W8VPV, and it's been my pleasure to host this evening's net. At this time, I will close the net and return the frequency to normal and customary amateur radio use. This is Whiskey 8 Victor Papa Victor closing the net at 10:03 p.m. local time with 8 check-ins counting myself. 73